guys, this is Hima Hegde, bringing to you the daily news podcast at Sourcing Classes. All the news you need to know and more. Let's get started by looking at the topics underlined for today. We will be covering two articles, of which one of them is a part of International Relations General Studies 2. The second article that we will be looking at is a part of the editorial that discusses the AGR dues issue. Without further ado, let's get started. The first article reads, General Rawat pushes for Quad. So how do we go about with this article? Here's a roadmap for the same. Firstly, we will be looking at what exactly is Quad. What is Quad? What is the significance of Quad? Having understood the basics, we will skim through the article. Once this is done, we will draw the necessary conclusions out of the article. Let's proceed. So what exactly is Quad? Quad, or the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, is the strategic dialogue. You need to know that in this context, dialogue means a political discussion or a political conversation to resolve a problem. So this is a strategic dialogue between India, Japan, Australia and the United States of America. You have to note that all these four nations that I just mentioned are all democratic nations. This was originally initiated in the year 2007 by the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. This was disbanded with the withdrawal of Australia. However, it has been revived in the year 2017. What exactly is the significance of Quad? We will be understanding the significance of Quad with respect to the article in focus. So, firstly, it is the avenue for interaction. It is one of the many avenues for interaction among India, Australia, Japan and the US, and it should be noted that this is not seen in an exclusive context. Likewise, it is an opportunity for project collaborations among all the like-minded countries. They could share projects as well as notes. The most important significant aspect of this would be the vision of the same. The vision, as per the context of this article, is open and free Indo-Pacific. Open and free Indo-Pacific. As you can see in the map, that what exactly is the Indo-Pacific region? The Indo-Pacific region is a biogeographical region comprising of the tropical waters of the Indian Ocean, the Western Pacific, also the Central Pacific, and the seas connecting the two areas in general area of Indonesia. So this, the Indian Ocean plus the Pacific Ocean and the seas in between, all together forms the Indo-Pacific region. So the vision of the Quad, of this group called Quad, is to see through it that there is an open and free Indo-Pacific region. So now let's move on to the article. General Rawat pushes for Quad. CDS cautions Pakistan against taking advantage of the India-China tensions. Here there are two things. We are talking about Quad and Pakistan taking advantage of the India-China tensions. So one by one, let's address both of them. Firstly, in the present context, it has become very important to see that there is no dominance or there is no over-dominance of one particular nation state over the Indo-Pacific region, the region that we just checked. So here it says that, or the general has made a statement that it is necessary to ensure the freedom of navigation. Freedom of navigation. In other words, we need to ensure that there is no interference from other states apart from the ones that apart from the exceptions provided for an international law. So India believes that this grouping of Quad coalition is good to work in favor of maintaining a balance and ensuring the freedom of navigation operations in the Indian Ocean and around. So now, given the existing chaotic situation in India and China, it is important to talk about that dimension as well. But before that, in essence, the essence of this entire clip here would be that India believes that this grouping of Quad coalition is a good thing. that will work in the favor of maintaining a balance and ensuring the freedom of navigation. The freedom of navigation is to ensure that there is no other interference, as well as there is no over-dominance of one particular nation in that region. So further, this is another dimension. Now, given the existing chaotic situation at the northern borders, at the India-China borders, that is along the line of actual control, the neighbor, that is Pakistan, could take advantage to create trouble. This is what is being spoken about. So, as it is a known fact that Pakistan has always been unconventional, the other word for it would be proxy war. Pakistan has always been unconventional in creating disruptions across the border, across the India-Pakistan border. And thus the general says that adequate precaution has been taken. There has been taken adequate precautions to ensure that any such misadventure by Pakistan is thwarted and they are not able to succeed in their mission. In fact, they'll have to face the consequences. I mean, they'll have to pay for any such deed done. Before proceeding further, there is a piece of information that is important. Unlike the LOC, that is the line of control that we have between India and Pakistan, the LAC, that is the line of actual control between India and China, is only a concept. I repeat, like we have the line of control between India and China, like we have the line of control between India and Pakistan, the line of actual control between India and China is just a concept. That is, it is neither delineated on a map or demarcated on the ground. Unlike the LOC that emerged from 1948 ceasefire line negotiated by the UN after the Kashmir war, the ongoing disputes in this region, that is in LAC, the line of actual control, will be of strategic advantage to the party with better infrastructure in the area around. Because on its own, this is situated at a very high altitude. This region, that is the line of actual control, runs along a region of very high altitude and obviously could pose difficulties with respect to the logistics, movement of the troops and other weather related disturbances. So, coming back, the general says that the infrastructure development in the Tibet Autonomous Region, that is the same region, is being monitored. Like I said earlier, any advancement in infrastructure could be of great advantage given the geographic location. So he says that the infrastructure development in this region is being monitored, made by China. Another important aspect here is that the governor also speaks about earmarking. That is, he says that the important regions have been earmarked. That is, our troops have been sent in that region in case there comes a requirement for our troops to be present. They are already there. Another dimension for this would be, before that it's mentioned here that we have earmarked the forces for that and we have conceptualized our strategies to deal with such threat scenarios emerging on both the borders. This was the comment made by General Rawat sir. Coming to the India-US cooperation part, this talks about how US could be of good help in terms of information sharing and continued supply of high technology battlefield systems that we can use to our advantage. Previously, in 2018 as well, US had helped us by with the better purchase of. Likewise, they have also spoken about the FDI, how foreign direct investment in defense should be preferred destination. With 74% of the FDI in defense, India should become a preferred destination for investment in defense manufacturing. So the essence of this entire article can be drawn via the following challenges and the respective way forwards. Firstly, it is the freedom of navigation by the Indo-Pacific region. So this has to be addressed with the help of Quad, where the duty of Quad will be to ensure that there is freedom of navigation and no over-dominance. Secondly, the border tensions, be it India-Pakistan or India and China. In the northern border, that is near the India-Pakistan border, that is the line of actual control, better infrastructure has to be ensured, better troops, better communication technology, which could be achieved with India-US cooperation as seen, better investments in the defense sector. So that's about it. The second article under focus for today is partial relief. This is basically an editorial talking about the AGR dues. So how exactly do we go about with this article? Here is the roadmap given. Firstly, we will be looking at what exactly is AGR. Then we will understand about the issue, then skim through the article and draw conclusion. Since it is an editorial, the conclusion is already well analyzed in the article itself. So let us go ahead. AGR. What exactly is AGR? Back in late 1990s, when the telecom industry started blooming and the private participation was largely encouraged, there was a new model that came into picture called the revenue sharing model. So what exactly was this revenue sharing model? Here, the telecom companies were obligated to share certain percentage of the revenue that they generated with the government. I repeat, the telecom companies were obligated to share a percentage of the revenue with the government under the revenue sharing model. And this revenue that went to the government is called as the AGR. So in simple terms, AGR is the revenue from which the telecom operators agree to share a part with the government. In polished language, we could say that the usage and the licensing fee that the telecom operators are charged by the government or the Department of Telecommunications is called as the AGR, that is the adjusted gross revenue. So what exactly was the issue that came by? The problem here was that the definition of telecom, the definition of AGR given by the telecom industry didn't quite match or didn't quite align with the one given by the government. So basically there was a difference of definition of the AGR between the telecom industry and the government. The telecom operator stood for AGR to include only core telecom services. What exactly are the core telecom services? It is mostly the recharge or the data facilities that we go for. Whereas the center wanted the deposit interests, profits, handset sales, etc. to also be a part of this. If we go by the telecom operators, the profits were not a part of it. It just had the revenue. The cost was not subtracted. Whereas the center wanted all of this to be included. Thus, in 2005, the COAI, that is the Cellular Operators Association of India, challenged the government's definition of AGR coalition. After this, finally, in the month of October 2019, the Supreme Court upheld the Department of Telecommunications definition of AGR and said that they were liable to pay the dues. The dues that had not been paid amidst all these chaos. That is due to the difference of opinion, the revenues were not being shared with the government by the telecom department. So the Supreme Court upheld the Department of Telecommunications definition of AGR and said that they were liable to pay the dues, the penalty on the dues and the interest on the penalty due to the delay in the payments. Now all this added upon a lot of revenue, a lot of debt that the telecom industry was supposed to pay. Going back to the article, so we have partial relief. So it says that now recently the Supreme Court held that the telecom firms will get 10 years to clear their adjusted gross revenue, that is AGR dues. It will get 10 years. So based on that, the Supreme Court's decision this week to allow the telecom service providers 10 years time to settle their adjusted gross revenue dues to the government comes as a partial relief. Here there is another noticeable thing, that the government had given 20 years of relaxation with respect to the AGR dues. But then the Supreme Court termed it to be excessive and returned to the 10-year term. The government initially gave 20 years of relaxation for the payment of AGR dues, where the Supreme Court barged in and reduced it to 10, terming this amount of time to be excessive, that is way more than required. Another dimension to this would be the banks. The Indian Banks Association, that is the IBA, had also explained its position in seeking a judicious and non-disruptive outcome. Since the banks also play a part, if the telecom industries have been holding the debt from the banks, even the banks will have a say in this. Lately, due to the high operating costs of the telecom industry and the poorly generated revenue, they have been at the brink of bankruptcy. The previous judgment of the Supreme Court, wherein the companies were susceptible to paying the dues along with the penalty, would significantly have damaging implications for India's telecom industry, which is under huge financial stress already. That is why now with the 10-year relaxation, there is a partial relief, but still we have to take into consideration the other players as well, such as the subscribers. We have to make sure that the telecom industries don't lose their subscribers if they are put under a lot of stress. If the telecom industries come under a lot of stress, then two players will be affected, one of which are the banks, because the dues will remain unpaid to the banks, and then the banks will be answerable. The second set of players would be the subscribers. If the company is not performing well, if we as citizens have subscribed to that particular SIM or that particular phone technology, even we would be susceptible to certain amount of loss. As a result, it becomes very important to have a holistic approach into addressing this issue, to make this industry sustainable and to stop the unfair trade practices and blind competitions. The industry itself, consumers and government will have to share the burden together. The sector has to look for a holistic approach with convergence to bring the convenience to customer. So in conclusion, it says that for that the government needs to look beyond the AGR issue to reimagine the way it prices and seeks to monetize the precious yet immutable public asset of radio spectrum in future. Lastly, let's look at the question for today. The Assam Rifles, India's oldest paramilitary forces, were asked to shift its base from Mizoram to check the drug trafficking by guarding along which of the following borders? India-Burma, India-Nepal, India-Bangladesh, India-Myanmar. So this is the question for today. And from yesterday, we have the answer as option B. The question is given and it was discussed in the yesterday's news podcast. So continuing with the same, here we have snap of the DND wherein the questions related to mains are given. I'll read it out for you. Firstly, we have reading between the lines of SC's verdict on adjusted gross revenue, discuss. So based on the editorial discussed today, I believe it can be answered. Second, explain the Chinese spirit of resistance celebrating the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War in the Pacific. What does the freedom of navigation mean? This has to do with the first article that we discussed. And what role has Quad grouping got to play in it? What are the repercussions of US going against the spirit of alliance with Turkey? What are the repercussions of US going against the spirit of alliance with Turkey? So these are the questions for today. Please find the answers and share the links. You could check out the daily news diary document in the official website of Sourcing Classes, that is www.sourcingclasses.com. Thus, leaving you all to write your answers in the comment section. It's a wrap. Tomorrow is another day with another news. Thank you.